Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Is there a structured, disciplined framework or an approach which a product or a service can take to win with the customers and the consumers and in the marketplace? So the WIMF, which is Winning in the Market Framework, essentially is a framework which covers all the touch points between a brand and a service and the customer. It's almost like a 360-degree customer touchpoint framework. And part of it is around creating the value in each of those touchpoints. And part of it is around delivering value on those touchpoints with the customer. If you create value but don't deliver it, you will not win. But if you don't create value and start delivering something, you will still not win. So let's go through each of those touch points one by one. Let's start with a summary. So to create value, the first most important thing is that you must have a compelling value proposition. Whatever be the product, whatever be the service, whoever be the customer, a big company or a small company, or a small consumer or a large consumer of your product or service, there must be a compelling value proposition. Next, it must be positioned well in the market. So consumers must be very clear. Is it a luxury product? Is it a high-performing product? Is it a quality-driven product, but highly priced? Or is it an affordable product with affordable features and benefits? This kind of definitions must be well established in the mind of the customer. The pricing strategy and the promotion strategy also have to be well defined. Because if you can have a great value proposition and you can have a great place in the customer's mind, but if the pricing is off or the promotions are not relevant, the product will not work well. And then, of course, all of these have to be communicated through a campaign of branding and advertising. So once you've done all the value creation work, the value has to be delivered to the customer. And obviously, some of the delivery points are around the social media touch points, social media influencing, social media delivery. And social media is on top of mass media, which will be print, or television, or through the serials and movies. Then, of course, is the selling touch points. And we'll talk in detail about each of those touch points. Next is how to make the product available. If you do a very good job of everything that you've done so far, and the customer has actually bought your product, but the product doesn't reach him at all, reaches him in bad shape, reaches him in 10 days, versus the promise of 1 or 2 days, the product and the service will not succeed in the market. And of course, even after the sale, the product and the service have to be repaired if needed. Customers' problems need to be solved. Customers' questions need to be answered. And therefore, loyalty has to be built with the customers. So this is, in summary, a bit of a touch point analysis. I call it the 360-degree customer touch points. Let's now deep dive into each of those. And again, the pedagogy or the way that I'll follow is I will point you to case studies which you can research and reflect on yourself. Let's start with how to create value, the value creation touch points. First is for you to have defined the value proposition based on your market research and the other techniques that I talked of in the earlier lessons. And make sure that you've got a compelling value proposition for your customer or your consumer. And I have given a list of questions and points that you need to ponder about and get feedback from the customer, from the market, to validate that your value proposition is indeed valuable. So you can see a few questions on the screen. And from a format perspective, each of the customer touch points, I have put in 10 validation points or 10 questions that you should ask to check whether your customer touch point is in good shape. So these on the screen are the value proposition, validation points or questions that you should check out with the customer. I will also point you now to case studies which I'm familiar with and many of you may be familiar with yourselves. Case studies where the value proposition touch points is really high. Apple, for example. So if you look at the iPhones, the value proposition is extremely strong. So you get a great product with great services. You get the app stores, you get the music, iTunes, you get high security, you get accessories, and everything is in a very tightly neat ecosystem. So they are premium priced, for sure, Apple is premium priced. But given all the benefits and the features, Apple, I would say, is a compelling value proposition and one of the most valuable companies in the world with one of the most profitable profiles for decades. Coming home to India, if you look at Jio, the value proposition of Jio is not just the telecom. It started with the telecom services, the network. But if you look at it today, it's got a whole ecosystem, including IPL. So you can actually watch IPL free, and millions of people have watched actually IPL free on the Jio network. And then you've got Jio Cinema, you've got Jio not only mobile, you've also got Jio Fiber. If you look at BMW, so BMW is all about performance. It may not make sense to everybody, but the customers who want performance and the luxury of driving will love BMW. It's a premium car, it's a premium brand, but people who love luxury, the sheer pleasure of driving, a fantastic car with fantastic features, they will see great value in the BMW value proposition. Industrially, Salesforce creates great value for companies because they allow companies to manage their customers, which means if you are a company with 10,000 customers or 10 million customers, Salesforce will allow you with the IT network to manage all of those customers well. So it creates great value for corporate customers. Most of you would probably be using Paytm or some version of a payment gateway. Remember, Paytm as a payment gateway did not exist till about a decade back, because before that we had cash or credit card. But Paytm kind of revolutionized payment through the payment gateways and especially took off when in India we had this situation when a lot of big money notes were demonetized. And therefore, a lot of payments went through the payment gateway called Paytm. And look at the value proposition. And now, of course, we've got the UPI stack, and we've got GPay or other kinds of payment gateways, which are the UPI. So there's great value because anybody, whether you're rich or poor, can use this kind of a product. So compelling value proposition. Here are some more examples of brands and products with great value proposition. L'Oreal. And in India, you have got Lakme and such others. We've got very clear value proposition in the context of beauty. Spotify, or in India, we've got Gaana and other kinds of music streaming applications, which have got great value proposition because you can listen to the music you want at the time that you want to listen to. From a corporate perspective, companies like SAP, which provide an ERP solution, add great value to the company operations and therefore have got very clearly defined value proposition. If you looked at LinkedIn, many of the most popular social media platforms, be it Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, have got very clear, compelling value proposition, and therefore they have billions of users. If you look at Philips, is a well-known household brand with products with great value proposition. So that's the first customer touch point. Moving on to market positioning. Again, I have provided 10 validation points or 10 questions you can ask yourself as you work through your own market position for your product or your service. You can read them on the screen, and there are 5 more that I've added on. But let me point you to a few case studies which you can research and reflect with brilliant market positions. Tesla. I think the market leader in electric vehicles, self-driving, and very clear market position. TCS. Very clear market position on domain knowledge transferring into IT solutions. If you look at companies like Toyota or India into Tata electric vehicles or Mahindra tractors, etc., very clear market positions. Customers know what to expect. And when they think of the brand, they think of a clear idea of what the brand means for them. On the consumer side, you've got LG or Adidas. So if you're looking at household consumer devices, washing machine, refrigerators, TVs, etc., and you think of LG, you have a very clear position in your mind. Shoes, Adidas or Nike or Reebok have got very clear market positions around athletic, high-quality shoes. The next touch points is around pricing and promotion. And again, as you develop your own pricing and promotion for your own product or service, you can see on the screen a few questions you can ask yourself and validate from the marketplace. So each of the touch points I've tried to provide you with 10 questions and validation points which you can use to check your marketing plans. So here are a few case studies that I'd like you to reflect after researching them And these are across categories and across countries. For example, if you look at Netflix, or you look at any of the Indian OTT platforms, you can research and see how they offer bundles, entertainment bundles, which then make sure that the customer and the consumer subscribe to that bundle and then keeps getting exactly what they want. It could be Hotstar, it could be Jio, it could be Airtel, and of course Netflix is a global leader in this category. Same with, let's say, Flipkart. They run those big promotion, billion-dollar days, or Diwali promotion. And they do those pricing and promotions where the sales of their product just shoots up. Rakuten is a Japanese company which uses pricing and promotions very effectively. India, if you look at it, has a lot of promotion cycles. So there is the festive season, the Diwali and the Dussehra season. Then you have got the Christmas and New Year season. Then we've got the end of year, which is the end of the fiscal year, sometime around February, March. Then you've got the summer or the back to school. And these are all occasions where companies can run promotions and special prices. Wedding season itself, which comes sometime in December, January, but also runs through the year. If you look at Samsung, Samsung does this very well, but so do many other companies, whichever channel they're operating in. Aldi is a German store, a chain store, and we have DMart in India, which drives sales through everyday low prices. So you can walk into the store and you can see a lot of products that you want, that you need, with a list price discount. So you need to plan your pricing and your promotion for your product or your service carefully. Next is around branding, advertising, communication. Because you need to communicate your value proposition, what your brand offers or your services offer, your products and your features and your benefits to the customer and the consumer in a very easily understandable way. So the brand is basically a logo with probably a tagline, and any of you at any point in time will be using a lot of branded products. So here's a checklist of questions and validation points related to the branding and advertising of your own product or service. So now let me again point you to a few case studies. Coca-Cola, and then many of the Procter & Gamble brands, or Nestle brands, or Unilever brands. These brands are known globally, be it Coke or Pepsi, or Tide soap, or Ariel soap, or Pantene shampoo, or Dove, or Gillette razors. These are known globally because they are very strong brands, some of whom have lasted or been created over 100 years. And then if you look at Indian, the Tata brand, the Godrej brand, the Mahindra brand, the Birla brand, these are all very well-known, trusted brands built over decades and centuries. Amul. If you think about dairy in India, you'll probably think about Amul. Amul milk, Amul butter, Amul ghee, Amul chocolates now, and so on. ASUS, like HP or IBM or Lenovo, is again a trusted brand in technology. SK2 is a premium brand, as is L'Oreal or Lakme or any of those brands for the beauty conscious consumer. Volkswagen, very trusted, well-known brand in the automotive segment. But you also have Maruti in India. You've got the Korean brands like Hyundai. You've got the Japanese brands like Toyota and Honda. You've got the US brands like Ford or General Motors, Tesla, etc. Some more brands which is well known globally and most of us will probably be using it. One is Google. So when you're searching for information, you almost don't say, let's search for this. You say, let's Google this. Intel, many of you are using laptops and you'll find a sticker which says Intel inside. And the moment you see an Intel inside sticker on your laptop, you probably trust and say, okay, that's a good laptop. Those of you who are into gaming, Nintendo, PlayStation, etc., are big brands in the gaming session. And the moment you see the logo and the tagline, you know that this is a good product and a good service. If you're into luxury brands, there are many of them, and you look at them, you like some of them, and you become loyal to them. Because when you wear the brand, you get the sense of being special, be it a Gucci or a Burberry or Louis Vuitton or any of those brands. In watches, we have Rolex, which is globally one of the most luxurious brands. But then in India, we've got Titan, the Titan watches, and they've come in various categories. And in jewelry, we've got Tanishq. So the moment you see those brands, you know what to expect. You trust those brands and you know that they mean quality and what comes when you buy a product from that brand. So that's around branding and advertisement campaigns. When you watch TV, a cricket game, or watching a movie, or you're just going through Facebook or Instagram or any of the OTT platform, you'll see those brands being advertised in those platforms. Now that you have created and planned for value, you have to deliver it so the customer experiences it. We have talked about mainstream advertising, which is what you see if you open the newspaper, print advertising. If you're watching a TV game, an IPL or World Cup or a serial, you see advertisements in TV. You go to a movie, you see advertisement in the movie theater. If you're driving on the road, you can also see advertisement on billboards or the hoardings. But that's mainstream advertising. Social media influencing is also extremely important because it is very targeted. But if you don't do it right, and I've talked earlier, it can go wrong because that can be a backslash to what you're trying to put out in media, in social media, be it Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp Business or LinkedIn or TikTok. And therefore, these are some validation points. You can see those in the screen. And there are some more to make sure that you have a top-notch social media campaign. Again, to share a few case studies which you can research and look up yourself. Nike does a very good job of influencing through social media. If you look at Ola, you can build communities of Ola around mobility solutions. So there's Ola scooters, which is electric vehicle, and there are communities which are coming out. But much before Ola happened, there are communities of mobility built around, let's say, Harley Davidson in US. So we had the Harley Davidson clubs in US, and we have the Royal Enfield or Bullet clubs in India. And these are communities which are bonded, and they share a lot of messaging with each other as they use their vehicles to go on long tracks, etc. So essentially, you're building communities, social media communities around your product. If you look at Uniqlo again, these are Japanese products, and people, especially Japanese consumers who like this particular kind of product, are actually very loyal based on the social media company. But in India, we also have versions like Nykaa and Plum and many others which are emerging, and where the communication is through social media or online, and a lot of sales also happens online, either through dedicated websites or through the marketplaces like Amazon and Flipkart. Shopify is actually a service provider which helps to create your online store, your online presence. So if you want to go out and sell your product online, you can use the Shopify app to create your own online store. So get a mini Amazon, which is your store, and Shopify allows you to do that. So we've talked about Nykaa and Shiseido, which is again a bit of a beauty brand. But there are also online aggregators like Swiggy or Zomato or Oyo and Airbnb or Ola and Uber or Book My Show, Make My Trip. These are aggregators where the service provider or the product provider actually lists their services. So in Airbnb or Oyo, people who want to lease their houses for 1 night, 2 nights, 1 week, 2 weeks, list their properties. And there's a whole rating system around that. And there's a lot of commenting system around that. If you get that right, then your product or your service is a big hit. Think about the restaurant ratings and the reviews in Zomato or Swiggy. Think about the driver ratings on Ola and Uber. Think about the movie ratings in Book My Show. Think about the airline ratings in Make My Trip. Those reviews and ratings can make or break you. Therefore, it's very important to get your digital and social media platform messaging, influencing correct. Moving on to selling. If your customer is a company, you do B2B selling. If your customer is an individual consumer, you do B2C. That's business to business or business to consumer. But in selling, to make sure that your sales strategy and plan is correct and you're implementing it well, here is a checklist. I put in 5 questions, and here are 5 more. This is for you to validate your sales plan. Is it enough to win in the market? Let me just point you to a few case studies which I request you to research and reflect on. General Electric is a great example of B2B selling, be it power stations or turbine or defense products, medical products, etc. Big or small, complex or simple industrial products. If you look at Mahindra Group in India, or the Godrej Group, or the Birla Group, or the Tata Group, they sell a wide range of consumer industrial products. And for them, sales process is extremely important. Same with Siemens in Germany, or Cisco, which sells network products, or Bosch, which sells automotive component products. So if you have a modern car, a lot of the components, especially the electronic components, will probably be from Bosch. If you are using a network, a lot of the routers, etc., may be from Cisco. And all of these companies depend on high quality selling to grow the businesses and win in the market. On the consumer side, here are some companies and brands which do fantastically well. For example, 3M. Every time you buy a Post-it or a Scotch-Brite or a Scotch tape product, it is 3M which is doing a good job of B2C selling. Similarly, if you're buying furniture from IKEA or many of the Indian furniture makers, unless they do a good job of selling to consumers, they will not win in the market. Same with Nestle, coffee or milk products or noodles. Nestle does a great job of selling those products to consumers around the world. Again, going back to the industrial product side, you've got products like Larsen & Toubro and many other Indian companies who sell Indian products, industrial products to other companies, and they depend on top-notch B2B selling to sell their products. Moving on, the next key challenge is to make sure that you can deliver to the customer in an efficient and effective way, which means if you have promised delivery in 30 minutes or 3 days, you deliver actually in 30 minutes or before or 3 days or before, and in good shape, in good packaging, in good condition. And that takes us in the area of distribution and logistics. And distribution increasingly is omni-channel. Like I said, if you're buying a phone, you may want to look it up in a mobile phone, do a deep dive on the website, look up social media for what others are thinking about it, check out the phone in a physical store, order it in an online store. So I put some questions on the screen for you to validate your omni-channel distribution and logistics strategy. And here are a few case studies which you may want to study. The first one being Nike, or actually Adidas, or Reebok, or several shoe brands, which do a good job of omnichannel and logistics. Lenskart is an excellent Indian eyewear company, because before Lenskart came, I had to go to a optometrist who actually checks your eye, gives you a power, then you go to a store, then you order it. And then Lenskart almost became a one-in-one, because you could go and get your eyes checked. There's a physical store, but there's also a website. And there's also an app. And you can actually order your eye frame on the app, at the store, or on the website, and you can get a delivery at the store or at your home. If you look at other examples, especially in the luxury space, you've got many of these brands which have got very strong online presence. Go to the website and check out the latest fashion. You could go and check out the social media. You could actually visit a physical store, or you can go and order on any of the online marketplaces or the website of the manufacturer. And same in electronics for Samsung, Panasonic, LG, etc. And then the last touch point is after sales service and building loyalty, to make sure that a customer who has bought once buys again, to make sure that a customer who has bought talks well of you to his friends and family, so the friends and family also buy your product. And here's a checklist on the screen that you can use to make sure that you're doing enough to build customer service and loyalty. Here are some more checkpoints. Let me also point you to a few case studies which you may want to research and reflect on. American Express creates a great experience around travel, because they have these charge cards and travel services which you can use to have good travel experiences. If you look at many of the banks in India, HDFC or Axis or some of the global banks, Citibank or Hong Kong Bank, etc., they give you a bouquet of products which makes banking easy for you. You can bank, but you can also buy some mutual funds, you can buy insurance, they'll give you a nice branch, and so on and so forth. You can take a loan, you can get a credit card or a debit card, and because you're getting everything from the same bank, you become more and more loyal to that particular bank, and the cost of switching is very high because you're getting almost everything with that bank and you're staying with that bank for maybe decades. Same with cars. So if you buy a car and you're very happy with it, you may want to buy from the same company, or if you want to go up and the company has a better car, you can buy a better car from the same company. So companies like Toyota or Honda or Maruti or Hyundai actually give you a full range of cars and great customer service. So once you buy that product, you stay with that product. Same with airlines. Be it Indigo or Lufthansa or Singapore Airlines or Emirates or any of those Indian or foreign airlines, if you get a great service once and you keep getting it, you don't change the airlines, even if it means you pay a little extra for buying a ticket on that particular airline. So with this, I've covered the 8 touch points. And now let's move on to the question of what are the benefits if you do all of this, and to whom? So let's look at the benefits of different stakeholders of using this winning in the market framework. If you look at academia, the faculty also has benefits because they can build some of this into the curriculum, and therefore, as the students are learning engineering or physics, chemistry, maths, or commerce, they also have a line of sight as to how their knowledge of a particular domain can translate to a real impactful product or service into the marketplace, into the real world. Also, a lot of these activities, be it around problem discovery or product development or winning in the market, are very interdisciplinary. You need marketing, you need finance, you need technology, you need HR, and so on. And by building it into the curriculum, faculty can actually give a broad-based picture to their students. More importantly, it allows faculty to understand the needs of industry much better and partner with industry in a more impactful way. Similarly, research labs, which are researching a technology and probably bringing it up to what is called a technology readiness level of 3 or 4 in their labs, for them to be comfortable that the same technology in the lab can be taken by industry and companies to a TRL 7, 8, or 9, which can then be launched in the market. By adopting some of these methodologies and frameworks, the research labs can be more industry ready and more impact focused. And you can read some of the benefits on the screen. Obviously, winning in the marketplace is the biggest purpose and ambition of all brand managers. And therefore, brand managers typically adopt very structured frameworks, processes, methodologies to win with their brands and compete with their brands in the marketplace. But more importantly, it's not only important for the brand managers, but it's also important for the R&D managers, because the R&D managers cannot do their R&D in isolation. And frameworks like winning in the market helps the R&D managers to make sure that their product development work, their research work actually supports the needs of the brand and the sales and the commercial people to win in the marketplace. It also helps R&D be more responsive, more collaborative, and also identify trends in the external world of which they can drive their own research. Obviously, for the leadership, the key challenge is on allocating resources, be it people, money, labs, campaigns, etc. And having a good understanding of the winning in the marketplace can be a big help even for the non-commercial function heads, for example, the CFO or the HR person or the technology person, to understand, as a company, do we have a sufficient set of plans to win in the market, and are the resources, the allocation of resources, be it capital or people or infrastructure, is supporting the winning products and the winning sales and the winning categories, either of today or which is coming up in the future. For entrepreneurs, of course, it's a must know and a must do, because entrepreneurs are creating new products to solve unsolved problems, but they need to ultimately win in the marketplace. And therefore, it's very important that they understand the framework such as the 8C, problem discovery, the 8P, or product development, and this winning in the marketplace framework. And it saves them time in the long run. It helps them get more focused. It helps them raise funding. And it helps them scale. Because as they win, they can create scale around the marketplace or the branding or the product development efforts. So if these are the benefits and if this is the framework, how can different stakeholders adopt this? So I'm sharing a few ideas for different profiles of users and managers and academicians. For example, here are a few ideas which faculty can use to adopt in their labs or in their courses. And these are frameworks that can not only be built into the curriculum, but they can also be used to do management development programs, professional development programs, to write case studies or research grants. Because all of this will benefit from a line of sight with the real world, with real world impact or the marketplace. Within industry, brand managers, as they start on their careers as an assistant brand managers, and they grow from assistant brand to category heads, and then global category heads or regional category heads, they can inculcate a culture of practice, but also training, mentoring, seminars, workshops, to make sure that these frameworks are popularized, adopted, and sustained. But similarly, and on the flip side of brand management within a company to R&D management, I would strongly recommend that R&D managers collaborate with the brand managers or the category managers or the sales manager or the commercial managers to make sure that there are cross-disciplinary workshops, training events, projects to make sure that collectively the company is winning in the marketplace. For entrepreneurs, from day one, as they start a company, I would encourage them to start with a line of sight to what the customer wants, the consumer wants, or what is important for the planet and society as a whole, and then work backwards to make sure that there is a great product or a great service which is creating value but also delivering value to the users and the customers. And to wrap up this lesson, the key question is, what are the skills that are needed? And I've tried to write down a few skills which academia can consciously adopt. It starts with, of course, research and analysis, because that's the core purpose of academia, but also to build in some of these frameworks that we have talked about in terms of their curriculum, in terms of when academia talks to industry, when professors talk to CEOs, or when academia talks to social networks or the government. It is good to make sure that some of these skills are built not only around the research and the analysis part, but also into uncovering real-world problems, developing impactful real-world products and services, and also delivering it into the market, or at least help the industry partners to create the product, create value, and deliver it into the market and the real world. So there are some more skill sets: project management, adaptability, also importantly ethical considerations, because the moment you go out from a lab experiment to a real world application, a real world product, or real world services, aspects like ethics, compliance, legality comes into play. Standards, quality, certification, they all come into play. And it is good for academia to build awareness of many of these non-core products and aspects. Conversely, in industry, some of the skill sets are already being developed, but I encourage that industry can work with academia to do this more in depth and more upfront in terms of gathering insights from industry, but then passing it and collaborating with academia to solve the problems. And then if you look at it, and that I've put in on the screen, okay, it is extremely important that industry also collaborates with researchers in academia in a way that heightens the chances of success in the market and a great product being launched or a great service being launched. So with that, we come to the end of this lesson. Namaskar. Thank you.